Philip ignored them. He knew a simple truth. A strong man stands up for himself, a stronger man stands up for others. Then came the evening, the silence broke. The sun was dipping below the horizon. Philip was near the edge of the sacred grounds when a sound cut through the twilight, a cry, thin, terrified, and human. A child. Philip dropped his crook. The sound was coming from deep in the untamed wilderness that buffered the oasis from the developing world. A group of visiting warriors, the practical skeptic Seraph among them, paused nearby. "The fog grows creative," one said dryly. "It sounds close." Seraph spun his practice blade, calculating distances. "It's a tactical lure, shepherd. Bait for a high blood." "Don't be a fool!" The cry came again, pure terror clawing at Philip's chest. He didn't care if it was a trick aimed at snaring a royal soul. If there was a fraction of a chance a life was lost in the encroaching night, his bloodline demanded he act. Without a word to the skeptics, Philip sprinted toward the tree line. Between the sacred grounds and the outer world lay a dense, ancient buffer, a primordial forest of shadow and needle-sharp briars. Philip crashed into the underbrush. The forest fought back. Thorns as long as fingers snagged his tunic and tore royal skin. He gritted his teeth, pushing into the suffocating darkness. The air reeked of old mold. He forced himself to crawl over jagged rocks and through coppery-smelling mud. Every yard was a battle. His clothes were shredded. His body was a map of bleeding lacerations. The pain was intense, but the sound of the crying child drove him forward. Let Seraph rely on his logic, Philip thought, ripping his shoulder free from a vine. We were saved from the flood to save others. Finally, the wood thinned. The temperature plummeted. Philip crawled into a small clearing. Ahead was the fog, a churning wall of cold vapor whispering with 1,000 voices. The crying had stopped. Philip pulled himself to his knees, blood dripping from his chin. He scanned the mist wildly. "It's okay, son," he rasped. "I am here." Silence. He slumped back, exhausted, bleeding, and a fool. The cold seeped into his bones. He knew he lacked the strength to fight his way back through the thorns. He closed his eyes. He did not pray for rescue. "Lord," he whispered into the cold earth, "if the child is in there, give me the strength to bring him out, even if it means I am lost." It was a total surrender. As the last word left his lips, the fog ceased its whispering. From the shadows, a massive shape emerged, a stag, impossibly large, shimmering with internal, silvery light, its antlers crowning its head with regal power. It approached soundlessly. The beast nudged Philip's bleeding shoulder. A wave of holy warmth washed through him. The pain vanished. Strength returned in a rush of adrenaline. The stag stepped back. A voice spoke from everywhere, the sound of deep ocean currents and ancient authority. "Philip of Seth." Philip pressed his forehead to the dirt, trembling with awe. The child was a mirage, but your heart was real. You pass the test of charity. Where there is selfishness, you shall be sacrificed. Where there is darkness, you shall be the first light. The ground split open. From the fissure rose a staff of pale wood, its crook glowing with the stag's light. "Take up your burden, my first pillar. Tonight we begin." Philip grasped the staff. The world fell away. He did not move all night. The stag stood guard while centuries of tutelage were poured into Philip's mind, the nature of the fog, the enemy hierarchy, and how to channel faith into power. When Philip opened his eyes at sunrise, the stag was gone. Philip stood, healed, holding the humming staff. He was no longer just a shepherd, he was a weapon. He turned back toward the oasis. The thorny path parted before him. He emerged near the library just as the sun crested. Chaos greeted him. While he communed with God, the fog's turbulence had surged. Drawn by the accumulated arrogance of the pilgrims, demons of sloth and envy had breached the sanctuary boundary. Seraph was backed against the wall, terror replacing his calculation as his steel sword passed uselessly through cold vapor lunging at him. Philip stepped past the boundary. He slammed the staff onto the grass. A pulse of searing white light exploded outward. Back! Philip's voice roared with the resonance of the Almighty. He raised the staff. Charity, he thought, focusing on protecting those who had mocked him. The spectral stag materialized, huge and blinding. It charged, goring the demonic mist with light, scattering darkness like dust. Philip moved like a whirlwind, the staff burning away the fog. Within minutes, the breach was sealed. Silence fell. Philip stood in the center of the lawn, the spectral stag fading behind him. Seraph slid down the wall, staring at the shepherd. He saw the tattered clothes, the blazing eyes, and the undeniable power radiating from him, proof that logic could not explain. The skepticism died in Seraph's throat. Philip the Faithful, he thought, the title now ringing with awe-inspiring truth. He wasn't weak. He was waiting for orders. That dawn changed everything. Seraph, the practical logician, became Philip's first convert once he saw undeniable proof of the divine. The shepherd and the skeptic forsook the safety of the oasis to forge a new path in the darkening world. Over the next few years, they formalized the faith of the 12 and established the sacred order of the Sisters of Solace to tend to the spiritual wounds of humanity. But faith alone was not enough against the encroaching dark. In their hunts through forgotten pre-flood ruins, they unearthed things meant to stay buried, twisted, impossible machinery of the ancient giants. It was Seraph, applying his cold logic to forbidden mechanics, who learned to repair and reverse engineer the technology, repurposing the weapons of monsters to arm the faithful. Years passed. The shepherd's crook became a staff of war. The practice sword was replaced by scavenged nightmare tech. The scene fades in on a desolate wasteland, the air heavy with gold dust and sulfur. Father Philip, now older, his long hair and beard grayed with time, stands in humble robes holding his glowing staff. Beside him stands Father Seraph, scarred and hardened, hefting a heavy, complex crossbow. It is a marriage of forbidden mechanics and smithing brass gears exposed along the stock, multiple braided cords taut with tension, and glowing runes etched along the limbs, designed to fire rapid volleys of enchanted bolts. Before them towers a monstrosity of shifting coins and grasping limbs, the gatekeeper of greed, the eternal enemy of charity. Philip tightened his grip on the staff. "Ready your soul, brother," he said quietly. Seraph pumped the foregrip of his crossbow, the gears grinding loudly as multiple bolts clicked into place. "My soul is ready, Father. Let's turn this abomination into a pincushion.